Thank you. Kind words. So yeah, as the session is about how different ecosystems work, I'm here to give you a glimpse of one of the, I think, integral parts of what has been happening in Finland and Helsinki during the past few years. An additional question to the previous one, how many of you have heard of Slush before today? Well, that's fairly many. Great. That's good. So at the very core of it, Slush, well, kind of the same as Dirk said earlier today, that Hyperloop is not just a company. It's a movement that many people join to make a difference. There's a similar kind of a movement behind Slush of people free-willingly coming together to help out the next generation of world-conquering companies forward, the entrepreneurs, the startups that want to create something new. The movement itself, that's a great picture of it. It's the 1,500 entrepreneurs, students, volunteers, investors that come together every year to make it possible. It is a great place for people like me, my age, to actually make a difference and create something that wouldn't, at least I think, I wouldn't be able to do at this age anywhere else. And at the same time, we can think globally. We don't just look at like, who would be the person from Finland that could do this, or who could be the person from Europe, but actually like, who would be globally the best person to come to Slush to talk about this and help the entrepreneurs forward. So I'm Marianne. My title sounds really great, but what that actually means is that I'm one of the longest staying members of the team. We're 25 year-round who run this event, and our average age is probably 25, roughly somewhere around that. I'll quickly go through the story. I could talk about this for hours, so feel free to come ask any questions after this. This is the dependency ratio of Finland, the same with all the other European countries. So the number of people who are working or in the working age is diminishing a lot compared to the number of people who are not in the working age. And that is a huge, well, a puzzle for our societies. And at the same time, there's a lot of research that shows that the net growth of jobs is coming from startup companies. And so when Slush was started, we identified a couple puzzles that we had to figure out to make this kind of an entrepreneurial movement happen. First of them being just our attitudes towards entrepreneurship. The early 90s recession that started from the Soviet Union crashing left kind of this stigma in Finland where entrepreneurs were seen as failures in life since they didn't have a career and so forth. Second being the skills and ambition. If you start from Finland, you can't really, or from Norway, you can't build a product just for Norway or just for Finland. You actually have to look at the global markets if you want to do something scalable and big. And the third one being access to capital. So how do you fund your company? And that's especially the part where Slush was tackling. So the event was born 2008 with the idea that just to bring the entrepreneurs of Finland together. Nothing else, just to get the entrepreneurs around the same table to discuss whatever they had on mind. The pictures are from the very first event. It was 300 people, very slushy and small, but from the inside, an intimate and warm event, and also the right people already participated. For example, there's the chairman of Nokia in the picture. So in details, none came outside of Finland in the very beginning, and no investments, no investor relations were made. It was just the entrepreneurs together. 2011 was a changing year in terms of that. It was actually founded by 5 entrepreneurs who wanted to give back to the community. And at that time, 2011, their company started growing very quickly. They didn't really have time. They actually put all their own money in making Slush. So they didn't really want to organize it anymore. And at the same time, the students from the technical universities of Finland had started this entrepreneurial society, and they wanted to bring international investors to Finland to help out the entrepreneurs in finding capital. So that's the moment when the students actually started running the event, and the focus changed from just doing something for the local entrepreneurs to actually trying to make a global impact. And they started from like, okay, we had no international investors, should we maybe invite a couple? That shouldn't be that hard. In that picture, there are all the international investors that we were able to get in the first year. So it was 4. And that was the starting point. But by focusing on the very core element why Slush was born in the early days, to help out the entrepreneurs further, the event grew. It doubled the number of visitors every year until actually 2014. And at the same time, there were more media and more corporations also, of course, interested. And during the past couple years, the focus has changed from, okay, we have a bunch of entrepreneurs, we have a bunch of VCs already here. How could we make them meet even better? So just as an example, last year, we had 800 investors at the event, from angel investors to big corporations like GE Ventures or Google Ventures or Qualcomm Ventures. And also most of the Silicon Valley venture funds are present. This picture doesn't look that great, but there's actually a lot of magic in it. So we built in-house an online matchmaking tool where all the startups can see all the investors and vice versa. And both of them also give us a lot of information about themselves. So the entrepreneurs tell who are they, what kind of financing are they looking for, what's their product like, and who's their team. And then through our system, the startups and investors book meetings to Slush. And last year, we hosted more than 5,000 startup investor meetings at the event. We also try to make something surprising every year. That's a picture from a pre-event that was actually hosted in a metro tunnel. There was still this metro being built in Helsinki, and this was an unfinished metro tunnel construction site. That's why some of the people have helmets on, but yep, we brought some investors and startups just to meet and greet over there. And as a result, when we look at the meetings that we have actually data on, there's more than $300 million being raised by the startup companies who have met at Slush with the investors. Of course, it's not just Slush, there's so many other things involved, but we can definitely see that there is an impact by bringing these people together. So Slush is an event today. It's 15,000 people, 2 days in Helsinki, and we also have a couple of sister events around the world, even though Helsinki is still the core of it. Nordics is our heart, so more than 60% of the people who come are from the Nordics or the Baltics, but we can also gather the relevant people from, let's say, Beijing, Shanghai, Tokyo, and San Francisco to Helsinki for 2 days. This is the last picture. I selected this because I once more want to say that even though the event has grown to become relatively big, we don't want to grow it anymore. And the startups, the founders, are still at the very heart of it. This is a picture. These guys are actually all Nordic founders of companies who have raised even tens of millions of dollars. So for example, the guy on the very left there, he's Patrick, who is the founder of Xeneta, a Norwegian company who optimizes logistics. The guy on the right, that's Andreas, a Swedish guy who's actually the founder of a Spotify spin-out called Soundtrack Your Brand. So next Slush is at the end of November. I hope to see every one of you there. Thanks.